everyone, and welcome back to another build video here. So today I will be showing you my what I'm dubbing my Bonk the Magic Dragon build. I'm showing you two variations due to one, I'm showing you the actual build itself, and two, I will be showing you how to make a build in modern day Destiny using certain setups. Also, bam, there's the fashion. As you can see, I just really wanted to use this chest piece. That's the only reason why I'm using Path of the Burning Steps. But also, there's the Sparrow that you can get this current season. This is its default shader. I just decided to go with that one instead. Another cool one is if you have, first off, there's Luminous Void, which looks pretty nice. But if you want something that changes the lights constantly, there's a shader called Photo Finish you can use, as you can see. But not doing that. The ship that I normally use with this setup is I call the Fire Batwing, but this is the Firebird that was during Season of the Haunted. So, just to show you all the setup here, first off, I'm just gonna change this over to solar. Don't mind me. There you can see my artifact setup. It's not super important, but it makes it a whole lot stronger. Again, key part of this build is Dragon Breath. Abyss Defiant, this can really be any other solar weapon, but this has a perk called Cursed Thrall, which, after you get a melee attack, the next enemy you kill explodes, which helps with Incandescent and Heal Clip. And that's also the same reason why I have the Cursed Thrall shotgun. Both weapons can be found and crafted from Crota Zen, which is free to all players. I would recommend for this 1-2 Punch and Demolitionist, but I would prefer like a different perk on this in this slot. I decided to go with Demo. But 1-2 Punch is going to enhance the amount of damage a target's going to take from melees. And bam! Throwing Hammer, Hammer of Soul, don't use Burning Maul. And then you have Rattling Barricade should always be the case. Use Swarm Nade for this, or Fusion. Use Swarm or Fusion. Don't use any of the other nades, really. You could use Healing Nade, but that Healing Nade screws up the rest of this build. But Sol Invictus, Warring Flames, and y'all can see the little fragments here. Your stats, you need to have your Resilience and Recovery at tier 9, no higher. Do not do tier 10 in either of these. You can afford to go tier 8 in Recovery as a Titan, but you should really be keeping these at tier 9, which is around 90. Discipline should be your next highest. I would say 90 is a little high, but you can have this at around 80 or 70. 70 at the absolute lowest. If you have it at 70 for your arms, I would suggest you have on Font of Focus instead of two of these momentum, two of these. So, just to show you all the actual armor setup, wabam, wapow, 2 surges is fine because we have some healing with Heal Clip and the Throwing Hammer itself. For higher end content, that's where the Heal Clip is really going to matter. Also, Powerful Attraction doesn't really matter here. If I were y'all, I would just maybe have on this and maybe extra Bomber, but you're not really using your class ability in this setup. But I'm going to show you this setup in the usual good old Lost Sector, Hydroponics Delta, and I will see y'all there. Alrighty, and we are here. Again, Dragon's Breath is going to be the main bit, but do keep in mind that its ammo economy isn't quite great, which is why we have a heavy ammo finder on. You want at least a melee to get that Cursed Thrall explosion. So we got that bonk. The stat we really want to keep up is our Roaring Flames times 3, as you can see on the screen. I'd rather not. There we are, see all that good old fire? And we can bonk him, get a Roaring Flames, keep it at times 3. Bonkage has started. And keep in mind, this auto rifle really is going to be your best friend. That we just need ammo, unfortunately. Speaking of which, we need them to sort of line up in a line. We're just going to do that. Bonk him. Collecting these fire sprites is going to give you an extra little burst. Just look at my grenade. Gives me a little bit of a chunk. I need my propellant to be times 4. So yeah, our roaring flames is still at times 3. I forgot to mention this. You actually don't use surges with Path of the Burning Steps because they don't work. I don't really know why I have them on these legs, but yeah, on these legs it doesn't actually work. So I would suggest Absolution and Innovation to spam grenades. But yeah, it doesn't actually work. Take these guys out first. Right there. And we got our weapon damage boost, which is really good. And we do have Warring Flames. It doesn't quite one-shot them if they are in a barrier. Ooh, heavy. We're going to get some bonkage in. Keep that Warring Flames up. Do not let that disappear. Oh, hello. I think I'll take a little bit more damage. They went down at the last second. And we're still at times 4, which is great. Again, use your bonk as much as possible. Right in that pile there. Woo! I'm just firing it. Throwing hammer is going to help keep us alive. We hit him for a reason. We hit him with all our pellets. Again, if you're up close and personal, that shotgun's going to be your best friend. Due to its 1-2 punch. Now keep in mind, this is going to be even a little bit stronger in strikes due to the enemies being a little bit easier. Whoa! Oh. So, fun fact, technically speaking, being knocked on a wall doesn't kill you. It puts you at exactly 1 HP, and if you are scorched, you're going to die. So that is something to note. Scorch. We can't fire a rocket in there. Something to keep in mind with this setup, fire sprites are your friend. We just got flow. Bada bing, bada boom. But we missed, but that is fine. Bada bing, bada boom. We can use our super anytime we want. In the build that I'll be showing you, that I'll be doing myself, you don't want to use your super basically. Stop. And there he's dead.
I wonder if they'd let you try some of those fruits as thanks.
I'm just gonna clear up the rest of the ads here. Do be aware that sometimes the enemies will get out of the way of your throwing hammer. This will probably kill all of them, actually. But always make sure to grab your hammer. Alright. But that's kind of how that whole build works. It's super up close. I would not say it's good for endgame activities. The other build I'll be showing you is a lot better for that. But, you know, well, I'm going to need a new public event to spawn. But while I wait for that to happen, I will be showing y'all how exactly to make a build. First things first, you know, you ask yourself, okay, what do we start with? You know, what do we start with? First and foremost, you do not start with your subclass even. You don't even start with your stats. And, you know, we'll leave everything the same for now. But, you know, the first thing you want to ask yourself is what exotic weapon do I want to use, or what exotic armor piece do I want to use? And if you have the answer to both of those, then you can make a build. So for us, we want to use Dragon's Breath. Okay, so we look at this exotic, right? What is it? Solar. That means we do want to use a solar subclass, which we have equipped. Sometimes this might not exactly be the case. For example, Legend of Agrias, that's not the case. You actually want to be using Void if you're using no backup plans. But if you're on a hunter, you really should be using Arc. But okay, so maybe the element isn't exactly, telling you to use solar. Okay, let's see subclass verbs. Ignitions, those are solar. Scorches, those are solar. And we do have the catalyst done. And fire sprites, solar. All signs point to solar. Okay, now exotic armor piece. Do we want to match this up with, since we've determined solar, what do we want to use? There's really, for Titan at least, there's really 3 hardcore solar options. Well, really 4. There's Phoenix Cradle, which I never use, Path of the Burning Steps, Hollowfire Heart, and Pyrogales. For this, we're going to use Hollowfire, because it has synergy. Also, a dear god, what the hell? I'm just going to put Slap on Erebus Glance. Change the helmet up. Sorry, I can't stand absolute garbage fashion, so I need to fix this. If y'all have stuck around for the channel, if y'all have been on the channel for a while, y'all know how important my fashion is to me. Alright. That's my usual Hollowfire fashion. But, okay, so we've chosen Hollowfire Heart, we've chosen Dragon's Breath. Okay, legendary weapons is really up to you. This slot should be a solar. Just to switch things up, we're going to be using Xiali's Bane. However, this is quite strong, so we're going to use it as little as possible. And you know what? We're going to say screw it. We're going to use Riptide with Chill Clip. The only time you really should be using a non-kinetic weapon in this kinetic slot is if you're using a shotgun or a fusion rifle. Fusion rifle, it needs to have Chill Clip. That's really the only time you should be using a non-kinetic weapon, because a lot of times it's going to be better because kinetic types do have a damage bonus. So your Heritages and your Wastelanders are going to be doing some really good damage. Okay, we've determined solar. Okay, we've determined, we have our weapons now. We have our weapons. Okay, now, when you get in here, if you have these, make sure to pick these specs up if you have them. Again, I'm mostly talking about for PvE, not PvP, but on all of your primary ammo weapons, you really do want to have minor spec for the most part. Sometimes boss, but never major. For your special weapons, either have on major if your boss damage is your heavy weapon. If it's not, if your heavy weapon, like in our case, is not our main DPS, okay, we want to use boss spec here instead. Okay. So now that we've determined these, okay, let's go into our subclass, right? Before we do that, though, we want to take a look at our exotic armor here, because we are using Hollowfire Heart. Solar takedowns while standing in a sunspot create a sunspot. It creates it at the target's location. Greatly improves recharge rate of your solar abilities while your super is charged. Provides a small benefit to airborne effectiveness. Doesn't matter. So, in our case, we actually want to use Burning Maul here because it has these shorter cooldowns where if we absolutely have to use it, it comes back a whole lot faster. At least that is if you plan on using a super, but in our case, we do want to use Hammer of Sol. It's just for us. Now, this is where we get into some of the nitty gritty. Here in our case, we're going to use Hammer Strike just because of that extra sprint speed. And it also does apply Scorch. So, that is something to know. Throwing Hammer is pretty good, yes, and it gives you healing, but we're going to use Hammer Strike just to switch it up. Both of these melees are good. For our grenade, we are not going to use Fusion or Swarm. We can actually use Solar Nades here since we're using Hollowfire. Just a note, at least in my opinion, Solar Grenade and Solar, Void Grenade and Void, those two grenades are not worth it if you do not have an exotic on that increases that grenade recharge rate. So, for example, on Warlocks, Sun Bracers, you should not be using Solar outside of that. And if you're a Titan, do not use Solar Nade if you do not use Solar Grenade unless you are using Hollowfire. Because the grenade cooldown does not, in my opinion, because enemies move out of that nade, so it's not like it just sits there. Now for aspects, you want to take a look at your fragment slots. Goes for any AD class. If you have an option of 3, use the 3, but most of them only have 2. Now for Solar Titans, you have Consecration, but Consecration's not good, so we will never be using this. For your fragments, if you have a plus 10 resilience fragment, use it. If you have a plus 10 recovery, use it. You need to at bare minimum be using 110, 1 recovery. The other two are pretty much up to your build. For example, for us, we need Ember of Ashes so we can get that score stacks up. They must be working on each other. So now we've set up our subclass. We've set all this fancy stuff up. Okay, now we look at our stats. We have 2 high of resilience. Okay, so we need to put one of our resilience mods into discipline. Their discipline is too high, and we have artifice armor. So if you have artifice armor, I'm expecting you to really know what you're doing. So we're gonna look at our energies. In your helmet, you need to have heavy ammo finder, heavy ammo scout, and harmonic siphon. The only reason why you shouldn't is if you're running double special. Otherwise, this is your setup for your helmet. For your arms. Okay, so you should have 1 loader. Unless the reload is extremely slow, then you can have 2. But in our case, since both our grenade and our melee has a cooldown, we are using both. If you're using throwing hammer, just double up on momentum double up on impact reduction. For a chest piece, this one is a little bit more nuanced, but generally speaking, you want 2 reserves and a sniper resistance mod if you are a Titan. And on your legs, 1 surge. So yeah, 1 surge, and you should be all good. And then, if you're a Titan, you really should have recuperation. However, we don't actually need this on Solar Titan. If you are on Arc, you have to have it. Again, if you are on Arc, you absolutely have to have it. Also, we're going to change this to recovery. We're mixing and matching our stats right now. So, however, we can actually get enough space to get 2 surges. So, we're going to do that. Bada bing, bada boom. And as you can see, and also, if you are Arc Titan, you need to have Powerful Attraction. And if you're on Void, you need to have Powerful Attraction. On any other class, you can do whatever you want. Now, as you can see, we have 3 tier 9s and a tier 8. So now, okay, okay, this is for Titan. What if I'm a Warlock? For a Warlock, your recovery absolutely has to be at tier 9. Your resilience can be at tier 8. If you're a Titan, it's the reverse. If you are a Warlock, generally speaking, you can put more points into strength, because your Warlock's melee abilities are a lot better. This is talking about everything except for Strand. Everything except for Strand, because Strand has multiple charges. So if you're a Solar Titan, you really want to focus on grenades. Same with Void, unless you're doing something fancy. Stasis, Arc, also, you should be using more discipline. If you're a Warlock, you really should be focusing more on melee. Hunter is the only Guardian class where you can put more points into mobility, because it affects your dodge. That being said, have at the bare minimum tier 8 in Resil and Recovery. But you can afford to have more mobility than, like, Discipline, for example, or Strength, for example. Because if you're a Hunter, Powerful Attraction is required. Because your dodge can pick up orbs for you, and then if you fuse Time Dilation with some other stuff. So, like, Time Dilation will extend the amount of time your charge surges, well, your charges last for. And if you have those charges, you can, do some Font of Focus to gain a bonus in Discipline. I don't necessarily recommend having the actual tiers. But also, more so, it's going to help with mods like Innervation, picking up Orbs of Power, reducing your cooldown, and all of these abilities, getting you healing and stuff. So now, we are going to do that same Lost Sector again, but we're going to go pick up some good old ammo, have our supercharged. So what is the best spot to test your builds if you're a free-to-play player or you only have certain things? First and foremost, you should not really be doing your testing in Grasp of Avarice. That spot should really only be reserved for like your catalyst grinding. You really even shouldn't be doing your weapon leveling there too. Run strikes, do Gambit for weapon leveling because you do get a massive bonus for doing those. You get about 30% upon completion, I believe. That's if I remember correctly. Also, you can see our Holofire Heart boost called Sunfire Furnace. That's right there. But generally speaking, if you're testing a general build like I am, this Lost Sector that I'm doing is the best one. Neomuna's Lost Sectors, you don't have to worry about champions and they are higher difficulty. If you are testing something you can use at range, I would suggest doing Hydroponics Delta, which is down here. Well, sorry, Thrillodrome. I would suggest if you're testing a long-range build, I would suggest using that. I think that's a pretty good place to do it at. If you don't have access to those Lost Sectors, do a Nightfall. Nightfall's probably going to be your best bet. If you want to test boss damage, I would suggest the Ogre boss in Grasp of Avarice. Other than that, I wouldn't suggest very many other places. This is just going to be your best bet. Oh, the rocket's stuck in here! As you can see, we're kind of still alive. By the way, the reason why we're using solar nades is because they actually build up the most scorch stacks. Fire Strike's gonna give us that extra nade back. We can put that there. Okay. We actually want to kill these guys first so I can show y'all how Holofire works, because Holofire sort of incentivizes you to be stationary. And I'd rather not really do that. At least, okay, enemy, I need you to get right here. Okay, there's a sunspot. That's gonna put a sunspot right there for us. And now that we're in another sunspot, we can just cast one there. You can kind of just go from one spot to the other. That being said, they have nerfed sunspots pretty heavily. And you can see in the sunspot, our super regen is drastically increasing. Okay. Cast a grenade there. Watch how fast our grenade comes back. Just because I'm collecting those fire sprites. Bam, our solar nade's already back. Bop. We can lob that there. Pick up that orb. Collect these sprites. Bonk. This is going to create a line of fire sprites. Another nade. As you can see, there's a lot of fire. See another sunspot there, killing them. For the most part, we're actually able to chain right down there. I wouldn't really suggest firing this rocket unless you have more than a couple of enemies. Fire another rocket. As you can see, this is kind of strong. Just to kind of show you, I'm going to switch to fusion nades real quick, just to kind of show you how fast those recharge. Is he good? My guy. So I just switched to my fusion nade, and we already got it back. So when we get in here, what we'll want to do is we'll want to shoulder charge those enemies, and then stand in that sunspot. The nuances on how exactly your build works is it takes time. So we can throw that there. And we can just... Oh, we should not have done that. We killed ourselves with the fusion nade. That's the risk of using fusions. That's why I don't necessarily recommend them, because they can kill yourself. Oh, okay. We need propellant 5. Fusion nade. It's probably dead here. Fusion nade. Kind of curious. Oh, there's another fusion nade. I don't even know if I hit an actual enemy. It's about as fast as Starfire Protocol is currently. Might be a little bit faster, but as you can see, if we stand in the sunspot, and if you can use your barricade, we already have it back. It's about as fast as Starfire,
I know it's a functional
but do
building,
keep
but
in mind
it's
you
really
cannot
outdated.
use it
Even
as
nuclear
Starfire,
areas too.
because it's not going to be, you can't get a sunspot there constantly for damage. If you could, this would be about as good as Starfire. It's just not, unfortunately. Anyways, on that note, let me know what y'all think in the comments below. Also, let me know if y'all think the other build is better than this one, or if you think this one is better. I think this one is a little bit stronger for ad clearing and higher end, but I do like the other one. The bonk one's fun. On that note, I will catch y'all on the flip side.